It's Kate.
And Oliver
Hudson.
Host of the new podcast, Sibling Revelry. That's right.
We started this show because, you know what? No one talks about siblings and that dynamic.
The siblings, they know each other better than anybody.
Yes.
You know.
Listen to Sibling Revelry on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I'm Jacob Goldstein. I used to host Planet Money. Now I'm starting a new show. It's called What's Your Problem? Every week on What's Your Problem, entrepreneurs and engineers describe the future they're going to build once they solve a few problems. I'm talking to people trying to figure out how to do things that no one on the planet knows how to do, from creating a drone delivery business to building a car that can truly drive itself. Listen to What's Your Problem on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Episode 277 is Hygge The New Frugal.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And today we are talking about hygge.
Hygge. Hygge. Say it with us.
Hygge. This is an episode that you requested, and we are happy to oblige on that. This sounds like an amazing concept that in Florida, it's not fully a thing.
It's not as necessary, but we can still embrace it in many ways. And again, our listeners tune in from all over the world, really, and definitely all over the US. So, it's such a lovely concept put into practice, is a great lifestyle, and as with many amazing things, pairs beautifully with frugality. And we're going to talk more about that.
Absolutely. But first, this episode is brought to you by blankets. Do you love blankets, but your partner keeps stealing them from you at night? Do you love blankets so much you are stealing them at night? Do you walk around wrapped in a blanket that's clearly inconvenient compared to a sweatshirt, but you don't care because you are a blanket lover? If you're a blanket believer, then you're going to love the Savings Connect account at CIT. CIT is currently offering a 3.6% APY savings account that covers your emergency and sinking funds against some of the crazy inflation right now. And there are no hoops or armholes to jump through like a sweatshirt. A minimum deposit of $100 is all you need. So if your savings account is sounding like a bedsheet right now, head to frugalfriendspodcast.com/CIT to get what we think is the best and coziest high-yield savings account out there.
Ooh, no hoops to jump through like that neck hole or armholes of a sweatshirt. I do have shawls that I don't need anymore in Florida, but I love them in the North because it's essentially like wearing a blanket, only sold and advertised as clothing because it just has like one slit down the middle to be worn like a shawl, but it's a blanket.
But like when you need to do anything with your arms, it's like, where does the front part go?
It just dangles.
Where do you put it?
It just dangles.
I can't
but you don't need to do anything. When it's super cold out, you just wrap yourself in a blanket or shawl and you wait for it to pass.
You just cross your arms underneath your shawl.
Yes.
And that's how you live in the winter. I can't believe, Crocs came back around. I'm waiting for Snuggies to come back around because I have a Snuggie and it is convenient. And I just like the function and the form. I think it's beautiful and practical.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And this is right on topic, truly, with hygge. It's more than just blankets and shawls, but, we're getting there. We're circling.
We are getting into there. So if you are like on par with this conversation and you are excited for this episode, we do have a few episodes that you could queue up after that will just feel like a cozy embodiment of our podcast all around you. We got episode 237, which is Kakibo, the Japanese art of mindful budgeting. I feel like we've mentioned that episode quite a bit lately.
We're so proud of it.
I love it. And then episode 69, create a fulfilling minimalist lifestyle. I definitely do love I feel like there's a little bit of maybe a congruence with minimalism. Hygge is definitely not minimalistic, but it is simple. And I think you could make it your own version of minimalist. So those are a couple good ones to queue up after. But let's talk about Hyggality and frugality. Hygge and fruga.
That's beautiful. Yes, this first article comes from Agape Investing, and it's titled Hygge, How the Danish Art of Cozy Aligns with Financial Independence. So we are going to kind of use the terms and ideas of financial independence somewhat interchangeably with frugality. They're not always all the same, but certainly this is talking about the ways in which practicing this kind of art of cozy can really align and is quite congruent and can help in financial goals, financial independence, a frugal lifestyle. It all kind of blends quite well together. And so for those who aren't familiar, we've said the word hygge many times because it's just fun to say. And assuming you're familiar with this idea, but if you're not, it is a Danish word. It does not look like you'd pronounce it hygge, which I think is probably why we keep saying it over and over. The first time that I saw this word, I was like, Hygge?
That's what I thought.
Okay. But it's not. It's hygge, and it is the quality of coziness and comfortable conviviality that engenders a feeling of contentment or well-being. So in general, just kind of this idea of at peace inside oneself, this coziness. It's kind of a way of life, a lifestyle. Certainly there's some very tangible things that we'll talk about and that these articles talk about that can bring about a sense of hygge, but it seems to be, from what I'm reading, what I've learned, what we've chatted about, even on some other different episodes, is that it runs a whole lot deeper than that it's almost this mentality, mindset shift. Certainly in the winter, this concept becomes a lot stronger. It's one of the mindset shifts that I have seen, at least for a lot of folks in the north who experience a very typical kind of cold winter, wanting to not approach it like, oh, let me just wrap myself in a blanket and wait this one out. As much as I like to joke about that, is not the best attitude to have. And so how can I embrace really every season and the beauty of every season and engage in it in a way that is life-giving, joyous, breeds contentment. And I think we love to talk about this particularly in the winter because we like to associate cozy feelings with the winter time. Cold doesn't always breed cozy. So how can we breed cozy in the way that we're choosing to go about life? So that's a little bit of a precursor, definition, idea of what hygge is. What do you think, Jen?
I like it in that it really emphasizes embracing the season. And that's something we try to get across, is really recognizing the season that you're in and not fighting against it. So if it is cold outside, to not try to force, a vacation to somewhere where it is blizzarding. That can be a very big letdown when you get to the airport and find out all of travel has ceased to said location. Sometimes those things are unavoidable, but really embracing the season and what the season calls for and making the most of it. And I think hygge doesn't have to just be like a cozy thing, like cold cozy, but it can really be a embracing of any season and trying to recognize, okay, my children are young and I'm in this season. So how can I make the most of this? For this several months they're in school, for this several months they're out of school, for the 2 weeks before Christmas, like just recognizing seasons in our life and trying to live into the best that they have to offer. So that's kind of what this concept has inspired in me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so they go into characteristics of Hygge that align with financial independence. There's just 4 of them. So let's go through all of them.
Yes. So the first one is attempting to spend less money, which is something that we are clearly all about. Not attempting to spend no money, attempting to spend less money. So the author says Hygge is about enjoying the simple things in life. So instead of paying for expensive forms of entertainment, Hygge seeks to take advantage of the things we already have. No need to go over the top to have a fun evening. Why not just invite a few friends over for a potluck? So that's what this says. And that's super, super important. Like it's about enjoying the simple things in life most of the time. And sometimes it's awesome to spend willy-nilly, spend extravagantly to have good times, to have those expensive forms of entertainment. But the more you do that and the more you rely on it, the less fun they actually are. You take them for granted. They become just ways of life. But if we are looking to really embrace the simple things, embrace what we have, and enjoy this contentment and gratitude, then not only do we spend less just as a result, in the times where we do spend money for a vacation or a party or a dinner, we enjoy it more. We feel more free to spend and less guilt in spending, and we actually have more to spend. So there's just so many benefits of doing a predominant focus on the simple things in life.
Yeah, I think Hygge and frugality are pointing towards contentment. And where there is contentment, there's not as much of a need to spend. A lot of times our spending can come from a place of discontentment or our revulsion to getting on a budget or trying to stick to a spending plan can be that it feels it's super restrictive and I don't want that. And we're focusing on maybe the negative things about what we think it's breeding rather than looking at what could this season hold for me? In what ways could I lean into the beauty of what this is creating for me? Some of the deeper reasons for embracing this. Like, again, this was so much my experience in the North. And I just left it. I did just escape it. So take this with a grain of salt. But my mentality so often was just, I cannot stand the cold. I got unreasonably angry just at being cold. And I'm like using myself as like a bad example, like Bernstein Bears, what not to do. Like, what if I would have embraced the good parts of that season? What if I would have focused a little bit more on, like number 2 says, this is my segue, a focus on relationships? What if I would have been more intentional about spending time with people? Yes, you can't be outside. You can't necessarily do all of the fun things when it's below freezing. But what if we would have been able to have fires together or do chili nights once a week or something? Sometimes I tried that. I think this is the idea with Hygge and frugality of focusing on the things that matter. And some of that is identifying what are my values, what is important to me, and pursuing that. And usually for many of us, it is going to be relationships. And we all don't need to be extroverts for that to be true for us. It can be our very closest friend or friends, our spouse, our children, our family. And could there be ways to spend time with people? And usually when we're doing that, we're not spending as much money either. It can help us on some of these financial goals. It can help reinstill some of those deeper whys for maybe some of the sacrifices that we might be making financially for a greater long-term goal.
Yeah, there is never a convenient time to connect with people. Like there's never a time where you're just going to be like, oh, this is a great time to prioritize my relationships. And that's why so many people in their 30s and 40s have really great friend groups because they recognize that time. That time does not exist, and it becomes harder to maintain relationships the older we get. That is the norm. But I love how this emphasizes taking the season where not a ton is going on. We just got off of the holiday busyness where everything was going on. Soon it will be spring and a ton of things will go on. But for the most part in the winter, there's not as much going on. And that is definitely locational. Like in Florida, there's way more going on outside this time of year than there is in the summer. But still, I think there's definitely still more going on in the summer than there is right now.
The shorter days.
Taking advantage. Yeah. Taking advantage of the nights that start earlier and the fewer events to really invest in relationships. This is the time. And this is what you're going to wish you had spent your time on looking back versus trying to spend money on something by yourself. I think that's when we're alone, it's easy for us to, browse Amazon or go to TJ Maxx and yada, yada. But we don't, pick up our phone as much when we are with people. So consider that.
Yes.
The next on the list is being mindful. So Hygge is all about slowing down and taking time to relax. Obviously, that definitely breeds more time for relationships and more saving money. And I love how he says it's about savoring the moment and enjoying the simple pleasures in life. That's the reoccurring theme, I think, with this. And they say financial independence is also a mindful way of life. It requires you to, he says, question your spending. But honestly, I think it requires you to just be aware of your spending and to be aware of, this might be like too over dramatic, but like the trajectory of your life. So looking back and being like, what have the last several winters held? How did I use them? And what did they look like? And am I okay with that? Am I happy with that? Is that a pattern I want to continue? What would I like to change about it? And I think that's really what being the Hygge being mindful philosophy is just being, not having rigid rules for what you have to do. Is, I have to get a blanket. I have to get a candle. I have to sit in front of a fireplace. I don't have a fireplace. I have to go get a fireplace. I don't think it's that. I think it's being mindful of, did I like the way my last winter looked? Yes. All right. What did it include that I liked? How can I recreate it? How can I emphasize it? If I didn't like it, what didn't I like? What can I say no to this year? And what can I add to replace it with that I like more?
Which is very similar to what we can do with our finances as we look back and review our spending. How did my spending go in the last 3 months? Do I like that? Does that feel aligned with my values? What do I want to keep? What do I want to change? Again, there's a lot of alignment here. And I think wherever we can have some level of control, autonomy, influence over the ways in which we engage in the season, let's do it. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast where we were like, oh, let's have an episode about Hygge. It really became apparent to me that our lives are not set up around agriculture. And so we can't, or we're not as accustomed to really slowing down in the winter as much as we would if we were really dependent on the land. When the summers were go fast and furious, make the most of the daylight, but then truly rest in the winter. So much of our lives demand the same thing every day, 365 days of the year. And we've completely left the concept of leaning into the different seasons and what they might be making room for. And I'm not saying, oh, let's all just like leave our 9-to-5s and go work the land. But what do we have control and influence over? Are there ways in which we might be able to let off the gas pedal a bit on our schedules in the winter? Are there ways in which we can be engaging in some celebratory new life things in the spring? Are there ways in which we can embrace some of the busyness of the summer and go in that kind of rhythm rather than fast, furious all the time, doesn't matter what season it is? That, I think, is what can breed some of that discontentment, the exhaustion, and it's why Hygge is so appealing. Mm-hmm. And so with all of that said, the fourth thing on this list is that Hygge really encourages just being casual. And I think, too, the way that this aligns with frugality, the pursuit of spending less money, spending time with friends, contentment. Of course, it's in some ways the antithesis, or at least not super aligned with the need for high-end items, super luxury brands, expensive just for the sake of being expensive. It can kind of create this more casual attitude and approach to life, this kind of comfort, coziness in relationships and lifestyle and outlook. And that kind of casual attitude can carry over into a benefit for our finances as well. Again, contentment and all of those things. We just don't have a need to put on this front of keeping up with the Joneses or having all of the nicest, most luxury things.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you cannot have any nice luxury things. If there is something that you really enjoy having that is designer, that is more premium, that is aligned with what you value most, then that is awesome. That is cozy. But there is no requirement or pressure to have premium luxury everything. There's no pressure. And for me, that's a little bit of being casual, is that the pressure to be something you are not is taken away and you have full permission to be you. However, whatever degree of luxury that is, maybe it's very luxurious. Maybe you are just like a bougie person and you love luxury and that is you. And we are here for that. And you be you. And you have the permission to be the casual that you define as casual.
Oh, thank you, Jen.
Yes, because I know you're bougie, Jill.
Not in like all of the ways, but yes, in some very specific ways. Yes, I'm learning that, and I'm going to embrace it. Thanks for the permission.
You are premium. You are premium. So the last one on this list is feeling safe, secure, and unstressed. So that's, I feel,
sounds lovely.
Really perfect segue. And the author says, in order to achieve Hygge, one must feel safe, secure, and unstressed by life's demands. And we're always saying that frugality is being a good steward of your resources. And that's obviously money, but also time and schedule and physical space and mental energy. And that's really what this is saying. Steward your mental energy well, steward your schedule well, so that you feel unstressed by life's demands. Steward your time and your physical space, your presence, so that you feel safe and secure. And you are never going to get it perfect. Like, there is no perfect season where it's like, oh yeah, I just felt safe, secure, and unstressed all season. That is never the goal. The goal is to make decisions with this in mind. And if you can make your decisions based on, does this make me feel more stressed? Does this give me anxiety? Then I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna say no. And I'm gonna choose Hygge. I'm gonna choose cozy.
Well, and that's a tricky thing of this whole conversation too, is that we are coming to a point of putting pressure on ourselves to be able to rest well, to self-care well. I'm starting to see more and more reels kind of identifying this, like the pressure to be a good mom, take care of the house, make some meals, crush your job, and take care of your mental health and exercise. And like all those things are really lovely things, but it's like, it's almost this additional to-do piece of, and are you resting? And are you getting enough sleep? And it's like this added pressure. And I think that's where we're saying, you're not going to do it all well. And there is a reality. I love that this article points this out. They describe that effort does need to be made to attain this lifestyle or even feelings of Hygge. Similarly, with reaching financial goals or even financial independence, whatever that definition is to you, that none of these things are going to be possible without some preparation or effort. There is a reality to there being some degree of labor, effort, preparation, intentionality for rest, for this mentality of coziness and contentment, for financial goals. And I think it's important that we recognize that, because sometimes we think like, I should just be this all the time. I should just be relaxed and unstressed all the time. And I appreciate that the article is pointing out, it's not done perfectly. It's not happening all of the time. Sometimes there's effort that comes before this experience. If you're having friends over and you're doing a potluck, there still is going to be the reality of prepping the food and making space for them to sit and thinking about communicating with everyone and accomplishing all of your other tasks so that you have space to be able to fully focus on the people right in front of you. So there is no perfect magical thing where this all comes together, but I can appreciate this. There is a mentality though that we can be aimed at and making efforts towards, and then getting rid of the fluff, all the other stuff that can unnecessarily stress us, overwhelm us. And I think some of this mentality is going to help to be able to identify that. What's the fluff? How can we get rid of it?
Yeah, I hate those reels and TikToks that tell me what self-care is. And I'm like, no. And they're like, self-care is like not a bubble bath in wine. And I was like, don't you yuck my yum. Like, I love wine. I don't know if that's the right phrase to use here.
I don't know. It came out of nowhere.
It's whatever makes me feel good. Like whatever, to an extent, helps me dissociate from reality. But B, also helps me process it so that I can re-enter reality with better perspective. More better.
Yeah.
So
we all define what our self-care is, but it doesn't have to be this stressful additional task.
Absolutely.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson.
You might be asking yourself, what is sibling revelry?
Yeah, well, we just made it up.
They'll have some laughs and maybe inspire some people along the way with universal tales of what it's like to grow up with brothers and sisters.
We're full-blood siblings, the only full-blood sibling.
In our family. Well, not in the world. I mean...
No, in the whole world. That's just it. Like, no one...
Dive into family tales and explore the human mind with guests like Joel and Benji Madden.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up, to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
It's more than a podcast. It's a celebration of the ties that bind us. Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So let's talk about frugal ways to bring hygge into your home. Because sometimes when we talk about these cool concepts like minimalism or sustainability, we're like, oh, they're so expensive to maintain or start. But that's not the reality. Like, yes, on Instagram, the beautiful curated posts and articles and, magazine layouts, those are obviously expensive to recreate. But in reality, these are concepts. These are not products. So there's always going to be a frugal way to incorporate them. And that's what we're going to talk about in this next article.
Yes. So this one comes from The Lady Prefers to Save, and the 2 is a number 2. Just to keep it spicy. It's 9 frugal ways to bring hygge into your home. We're not going to go through all 9. Jen and I are just picking our favorite 3. But one thing I will say before we jump into our fave 3 is I appreciate that all of these tips are not, most of them really aren't like super tangible. It's not do this and save money and experience hygge. It is, again, more attached to the deeper meaning of hygge and some of the things that we've identified with frugality and some of the mindsets and ways that we can be approaching life and perspective. So they don't seem like maybe tips off the bat because they're not like life hacks, but they are still where we usually begin is what's my thought patterns? How am I engaging with life at this moment? And what could be shifted and changed in this environment? So that's my disclaimer about these pieces. What did you think of the article, Jen?
Yes, no, I felt the same way, and I very much liked that it got to the core. I love this quote from the author of The Little Book of Hygge, The Danish Way to Live Well, and it is, live life today like there is no coffee tomorrow. And I don't fully understand the quote or why it's so important to make it like a actual graphic out of, but I do. Maybe it's just like drink all the coffee today, like there will be no coffee tomorrow. And
I guess so.
That is the way I want to live. That is truly the life that I want to lead. So on that note, okay. I just want to start out with the very first one on here. Make your house a home. I absolutely have always agreed with this, even before I knew how to say hygge, because the more your house feels like a home, even if you're an extrovert, you're going to want to spend more time there. And you're going to want to have people over. It's going to be easier to clean, so you're going to be able to have people over on shorter notice. There are so many benefits to making your house a home. And the author of this article says, starting the path of hygge most often begins with a simplified interior design. And this is Danish, and we all know Swedish minimalism design. So they're very interconnected. But I think the hygge philosophy kind of isn't minimalist, but it is more on the simplified version. So still having all the things that make our lives full, make our lives efficient, but keeping the interior design simple and the number of things to clean or tidy or manage. So keeping fewer knickknacks and not changing out your extensive home decor scheme every season, having boxes and boxes of decor. I just think of, did you know Disney has like multiple warehouses where they store their Christmas decorations?
Whoa.
Just Christmas.
Wow.
Right? And so obviously we're not going to be on the same level as Disney, but like you store your decorations more time than you display them if you're one of those seasonal changers. So it's just something to think about to when you make your house a home and not a storage facility, you really do get to enjoy it more. And you pay for it every month. So why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for some people, they love that. That's what makes a house a home, is having the various seasonal decor, but also keep track of how much stress it might bring to you too. You might think you're that person only to find out, oh, actually, I used to decorate crazy for Christmas. Like people would literally tell me, I don't know where to put my eyes. It looks like Christmas blew up in here. And I took pride in that. I don't know where to put my eyes. That was like an actual quote from someone in my tiny apartment. And I was like, oh, yay. You have entered into the holiday
I don't
season.
know this version of you, Jill.
Yeah, I know. So I thought that was me. And now I'm at a place where my rule is that all my Christmas decor needs to fit in one plastic tub. And it does.
Yep, same. Yep, that is also my rule.
Okay, so my next favorite thing on here is learn to linger. Part of that is because of alliteration. But also, I think because it's a hard lesson for especially us U.S. citizens to learn. We're so accustomed to rushing, eating fast, on the go. We get our identity from being busy, just constantly busy. Mm-hmm. And so learning to linger, it not only values what's right in front of us, whether that's a person or a task at hand, it also gives ourselves some space to think and be in the moment. We all know that cultivates mindfulness and intentionality, which will absolutely carry over into our finances and breed benefit. But when we can learn to linger, we can also enjoy what's happening more and find contentment in that moment. And just not be so focused on what's next. And I'm saying this to myself too, because like any meal that I eat is down in 5 minutes. And I blame the public school system for that.
I blame that you take like half a cup of food. There's like a half cup of food on your plate, Jill. Like that's what it is.
I mean, okay, maybe sometimes like I don't need a ton of food, but come with me to that burger place, El Cap. Eric is like kind of grossed out to go with me because I don't put the burger down. The burger is gone. I kid you not, in 2 minutes.
It's a good burger.
There's a couple of reasons. It's super messy, so I don't want to have to put it down.
I'm kind of offended Eric doesn't do the same thing.
No, he's his mother's child and he takes like hours to eat his food.
Oh, bless
But again,
him.
I blame the public school because we got like 23 minutes for lunch, and that included like going to your locker, dropping off your books, getting to the cafeteria and back to your next class. So I've just been trained in eat your food in 5 minutes.
Yeah. I also need this reminder of learning to linger. I am the person, and I was writing about this morning actually, like because I value like achievement and finishing things and completing things, I complete something and then I'm already on to the next thing that I can achieve or accomplish without celebrating what I have just done, no matter like what the magnitude of it, whether it's big or small, I'm just always on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's not in my nature to linger or to celebrate. And that is, I mean, I don't think that that's just reserved for people who have that core value. But it is this natural tendency for me. Lingering is foreign. And that is something I really need to pay more attention to in the seasons.
Yeah.
So my next favorite is to buy with purpose. I love this. The author says the Danes are nothing if not thrifty. And they are one of the happiest, if not the happiest countries in the world. They always rank up there.
According to a European study that was referenced in one of these articles, like, I don't know how long ago the study happened, but yeah, they were listed as or what that metric is. There you have it.
Yeah.
They're the happiest.
Yeah. They're super happy. And it's not all because of their thriftiness, but they are still happy despite not like buying all of the things. Like they do not live this lifestyle or in this mindset where the next thing is going to make my life easier or better. They really strive to see better and improved outside of their purchases. So when they make a purchase, it has a certain purpose, and that purpose is not to bring happiness. So they say favoring the idea that it's better to save up for that favorite furnishing in lieu of buying something they don't really like just because it's cheap. I feel like that's a personal attack on the old me.
Yes.
And bring items into your home only if they are both beautiful and bring purpose and utility to you and your family's week. And I feel like we don't usually combine the two. We either bring, I mean, for me, it's either beautiful or it's purposeful, because if it were both, it would definitely be more expensive. But they're saying save up for these things instead of buying all the things that are maybe 50% of what you really want, when you could have 100% of what you want.
And that'll help in the minimalism too. I think sometimes when we can't get what we want, it can lead to that spending. Like, I can't buy that, but I still want to buy something. And then it's not actually what we want. And then in the long run, we might end up spending more because we then had to replace that thing over and over because it never was what we truly had our sights on, rather than being patient and saving for it. It's just a different mentality, a different approach to it.
And definitely a hard one to get to when you're living on a very limited income, because we underestimate what we're able to save for, and sometimes feel guilty if we save for something, that feel guilty in actually buying it because you feel, oh my gosh, I've just saved this amount of money. I should be putting it towards something like good, not just this like robot vacuum. And so it is a tough mindset to get out of if you've lived in this paycheck to paycheck cycle. But I would just say, give yourself permission to save for good quality things, and then to buy them when you do. Because you will, in the long run, spend less than if you're in the $20 here, $20 there mentality. Because like, oh yeah, I can afford $20. I can't afford $200 or $400, but I can afford $20. And then you end up with all of this crap that in 2 years you don't use, want, or need. But if you'd spend, maybe the $200 on the robot vacuum, maybe you love it still in 2 years. I don't know.
Sounds like personal experience.
Yeah, all of this is.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to pick one more on this list. I'll probably mention the third in the lightning round. But share. Ooh, and I'm just going to read this whole paragraph that they talk about with sharing. In a Hygge home, experiences are shared. Guests bring food. Hosts allow help in the kitchen. The family entertains one another. Every thought, idea, and expression is equally validated. No one needs to internalize sentiments or tear others down to make their points known. Coziness is knowing your opinions, customs, beliefs, and traditions can be safely shared. Oh, there it is, folks and friends and my frugal friends. How beautiful of a sentiment is this for both Hygge and a frugal lifestyle and approach. And I will say that this is something I didn't know that it was aligned with Hygge, but something I've embraced more and more in having my own home. I am becoming used to hosting. I didn't do that before because I didn't have a large space. And so I certainly in the beginning was one who thought I had to do everything. My guests need to just sit there and I need to act like I'm Mary Poppins, just pulling things out of nowhere, and it needs to look effortless. And they need to like not see me when I'm working, but it all needs to get done. And that doesn't work. Spoiler alert. And I have now shifted over into this allowing people to do things when they ask me, what can I do? Yeah, you can strip your sheets. Yeah, you can help me peel the potatoes. Sure, you can water my plants. And it does actually breed this greater sense of connectedness and bonding where I think my guests truly then do feel more at home when I invite them into some of the tasks of being in my home, of me hosting, and it takes a greater weight and pressure off when it feels shared. And there's not this kind of truly, when we approach hosting in that way, it's an imbalance of power. And that's not necessarily going to make people feel at home. And of course, I'm talking about guests that I have that stay overnight, but this is also when guests just come for dinner or they come for dessert, the ability to have these shared experiences and then to take that even further where it's talking about an ability for all opinions and belief systems and traditions to be valued equally. And to me, that also says age groups. You know, when we're hanging out with children, I think this Hygge idea comes into play of listening to what do the children in the household have to say and what do they want to share, and placing value and dignity on their humanity and their experiences. And I think this is so true, especially within the personal finance space and within our kind of frugal community. Something we try and practice is not tearing others down or judging others for the ways in which they may choose to spend their money, for the different values that we might each have. Like you've said, Jen, yeah, some of us might be a little bit more bougie and some of us might be a little bit more casual, and there's space for all of that. So I think that ability to kind of share, here's my approach to frugality, and yes, there's space for you. Oh, I love it. There's so much alignment here between these different concepts.
Absolutely. And then the last one I'm going to do just real quick is light candles. Yes. And this is because we all have candles that are just sitting around not getting lit. And the other day, Travis said, well, don't you want to preserve that candle? You don't want to use it all up. And I was like, that's what I bought it for. It's a pumpkin candle, and it's just not pumpkin season all year round. I'm going to use this candle up in this season. So if you have candles, use them.
That's so great.
Everybody also has spa things that they got as gifts or just ended up with somehow. Use them. Just use the stuff that you've been saving for a special occasion. It's the special occasion. Today is the special occasion.
That is what Hygge is. It's the special, simple occasion. Well, that's great, Jen, because that was going to be my third one too. That is the one very tangible tip on this actual list is lighting a candle. And it really does bring about this sense of coziness. And it could save you a little on electricity.
Maybe. Think about it.
Or if you don't have a candle, utilizing some of those white LED Christmas lights throughout the year. We love using just low lighting in our house. It just is cozy. It's still lighting. We can still see our way around. But when the day is done, we don't have task lighting on in our home. We light candles. We plug in the Christmas lights. We do the under cabinet lighting. Just the low lighting brings about coziness. And you know what else brings coziness all year round? There is shared space here, no judgment, all are welcome.
Yes, it's a warm blanket of love. The Bill of the Week.
Right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the Bill of the Week.
Hi, Jen and Jill, my frugal friends. I'm calling you from West Michigan, where it's quite chilly right now. I just listened to your winter episode and just wanted to say how much I really enjoyed that. Cozy truly speaks to the soul. My bill of the week is my grocery bill. It's my bill of the week because I really love spending money on food. I love food. I love eating food. And recently I've been making a lot more meals and trying to meal prep, even doing some freezer meal prepping. So I'm just really excited. And when I heard you guys needed some more bills, I knew I had to call. Thank you. Love you both for all that you do. You guys are awesome. You're very motivational and I love listening to you. Please keep with the food episodes. Bye.
Yay! Thank you from West Michigan. This is amazing and how timely. We did not plan this. So that
we never listened to these before.
That winter episode you're talking about is also where we mentioned, we need to do a Hygge episode because of what we chatted about there. And here we are. And I love food too. So we are going to keep those food episodes coming because we're not going to stop eating.
Yes. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I am so appreciative of you saying that because yes, food, we'll never get enough food episodes. We'll never stop doing them. I think our next one on the docket is a replay, and then we're going to maybe talk about systemizing like meal prep. So there will never be enough food. And there's a reason why bears eat and hibernate in the winter. You know, it's just natural.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm about to do that.
What's in our control? How do we lean into the seasons and what they might be demanding of us or giving room for and space for? And it is eating more and it's eating hearty meals. And it is definitely for bread and butter.
This season in particular for me, I am definitely embracing bear status. And I am eating, I am napping, I am not shaving. I'm just kidding. But I am embracing it. And
if you all out there also love food and you're just so stoked about your grocery bill, helps you prepare freezer meals, or you're experiencing bear status, Bill Bear status, or anything else, you know the drill. frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill. Leave us your bill. We are here for it. Woo!
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson.
You might be asking yourself, what is sibling revelry?
Yeah, well, we just made it up.
They'll have some laughs and maybe inspire some people along the way with universal tales of what it's like to grow up with brothers and sisters.
We're full-blood siblings, the only full-blood sibling.
In our family. Well, not in the world. I mean...
No, in the whole world. That's just it. Like, no one...
Dive into family tales and explore the human mind with guests like Joel and Benji Madden.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up, to really all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
It's more than a podcast. It's a celebration of the ties that bind us. Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
From the studio who brought you the #1 podcast, The Piketon Massacre, this is Murder 101.
A group of high school students started a project to research a string of unsolved murders.
Those murders happened in the mid-1980s.
He's out there doing stuff. He just didn't stop.
Everything that the students predicted through their profile turned out to be accurate.
Redhead killer profile. Male, Caucasian, 5'9" to 6'2", 180 to 270 pounds. Unstable home, absent father and a domineering mother. Right-handed, IQ above 100, most likely heterosexual.
There is no profile of this killer except for the ones the students created.
Just because some of these women no longer have people to speak for them does not mean that they deserve to not be spoken for.
What if this guy's still alive? Like, what if he comes after us?
I said, are you going to kill me? And he said, yes.
Listen to Murder 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And now it's time for Lightning Round.
I love how you just went in there, but we still do have a commercial break between the Bill of the Week and the Lightning Round.
Here we go. And now it's time for
the Lightning Round.
That's my bad. I just get so excited.
I know. So today in our vulnerability segment, we are going to talk about how do you currently make life more cozy? And Jill, you are
question.
For sure cozier than I am. So
this feels like a life mission. For me, cozy is also similar to the idea of making things feel special. So I kind of use that interchangeably with this concept of how can I create and breed fun and joy and life-giving, cozy things. And that's a daily effort every single day. And it is simple things. I think I have really leaned into the reality that it doesn't have to be that I wait for 1 week-long vacation a year to truly enjoy life. There are things every single day, very simple things that can make life just feel so special. And some of that is ritualistic things. So coffee each morning is a ritual for me. It's not just this grab and go, gulp it down, run out the door, mostly because there is no running out the door. I work from home. So.
We were just saying this morning, Jill never leaves her home.
Yeah.
I have to drop Kai off at daycare every morning, so I leave my home daily. But
coffee is special. And Eric and I, we might have mentioned this before. We don't have a microwave. So we make our coffee in a thermos because we realized that's the only reason we ever had a microwave was just to reheat our coffee. So instead of that, we just make it in something that will keep it warm. Well, when we first pop the thermos, it makes this champagne popper sound. And so I've leaned into that. And so every morning when Eric and I pour our coffee, we cheers to something, we pop it, or we make a speech. What's that term?
A toast?
A toast. That's what it is. We to whatever. And it might be to a beautiful day, to the sunshine, to whatever might be happening that day, to whatever. And then pop it and pour the coffee and cheers. And we do cheers, Eric and I, with any kind of drink. We'll cheers our coffee. We'll obviously cheers our wine. We just cheers. If we're eating together, we cheers. And that's fun. And that's special. And that's cozy. I love lingering. Speaking of lingering, outside with my neighbors, if I'm able to see people during the day, because, I work from home, so I'm just trying to get some human interaction. Stopping to notice tiny flowers, really slowing down as I'm watering my plants. That's a fun ritual for me, not an obligation, but something that I look forward to doing. So even some of these tasks, I will look for ways to to make it fun. If I'm feeling rushed or harried and I'm cooking doesn't sound fun to me, I'll put music on. And immediately that'll kind of just like change the space up, make it more cozy, make it relaxing, make it something enjoyable. If I'm washing the dishes and I want to, a similar thing, put music on, maybe even use dim lighting. Like don't put on the task lighting. I might only just use the under cabinet lighting so it just feels cozier as I'm washing the dishes. Again, very simple things.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
That's great. And none of those things involved spending money.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And that's sickeningly adorable that you guys cheers to everything.
You can come over and cheers with us, Jen. You just have to be here early enough for the thermos popping.
That's early.
Yeah. Well,
I got stuff to do in the mornings.
What about you? How do you make it cozy?
So I love the morning cup of coffee in the mug. Like, and that is definitely, mugs are cozy. It just takes a drink from being normal to cozy. And candles for sure. Not so much blankets because it's already like usually warm here, but candles, I will run a candle to the very end.
Yeah.
I love completing things. I love finishing candles. That's another
That's
thing.
a task, and it's an achievement.
It's a task I can achieve is finishing the candle. So I love that. I love lamp lighting, warm lighting. Stay away from the daylight light bulbs. Just stay away from them. Under 3,000. And yeah, I think that's kind of where coziness ends for me. I love putting on the chill hop station on YouTube, which is just kind of like jazzy lo-fi. Or I play the Lumineers radio on Amazon Radio on my Alexa.
Nice.
And those are my cozies. I wear slippers at home because I'm an old lady and my feet hurt if I don't.
Are they
wear
the slippers my grandmother made for you?
Okay, so I do have those and I do love those, but my feet have gotten older since she gave us those, since you gave us those. And so now I have to wear special slippers.
With support.
Yeah, I do love those slippers though. Travis still wears his.
That's so great. Oh, thanks, Gimba.
Yeah. Oh, Gimba.
And thank you all for listening. Many of you know we have a membership for our listeners, many of whom are paying off debt, where we do monthly money challenges and offer accountability groups, because we all know these big goals are not possible without some of that community accountability, being known,
cozy
encouragement, motivation. Yes. And we want to congratulate one of our
cozy
members
accountability groups.
A big win. Wendy said paid it off again. Hey, I just wanted to share that I paid off my Target card again. I let a balance sit on it for 2 months, but I cut up the card, paid it off, and closed the account. Woohoo! Yes, Wendy.
Woo! Oh, girl. Congratulations, Wendy. I feel like you just like pop in all the time with, I did this great thing. And I'm like, yes, Wendy. So like some people are super here and then some people are taking it in and being like, I'm crushing it. And we are here for both.
Yes.
So congrats.
And again, thanks everyone for listening. If you want to check out our membership where we have all kinds of courses, interviews, challenges, and so much more, there's a lot to be discovered. Feel free to check it out. frugalfriendspodcast.com/club, CLUB. You know how to spell that word. And we'll see you there.
Yeah. See you next time. Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Sirianni.
Jen, as we were talking about minimalism in this episode and like knickknacks and not wanting a bunch of knickknacks, it reminded me last night I had some version of a nightmare where I had to give a gift to someone. And I guess I was so flustered and didn't know what to give that I ended up giving like this knickknack is really what it was, kind of like a mini little statue figurine thing. And I was so stressed about giving it because I'm like, this doesn't feel like a gift that I would give. They're just going to have to dust it. I specifically remember having that thought, like, this is just going to be a thing that collects dust. I do not want to give this to them. It was awful.
Wow. That does sound like a nightmare. Oh my gosh.
Yes, it shows you like how deeply embedded this like minimalist lifestyle has become. And my desire to give good gifts.
Also, yeah, you're very extra with the giving and you want to give really good gifts. And you do give really good gifts.
Not in my dream last night. You should have seen me in the trash I was giving to other people.
Trash. I bet it was a really cute knickknack that they would have gladly dusted.
It's interesting. It was actually similar to, we have one figurine. I do have one figurine. It sits on my dresser and it is sentimental. It's a figurine of like a silhouette of a man and woman that Eric and I got on our honeymoon. I don't know. I think we thought like, oh, look at us now. And we got this figurine.
We are a man and a woman.
It was something like that I was giving to someone, but still it felt like this isn't for them. This is just going to collect dust. This is not minimalist. This is not a good gift. Oh, it was so stressful. I'm so glad I woke up from that dream.
I'm glad you woke up too, and that you still have your silhouette of man and woman that you can have and
my
cherish
one
forever.
thing I have to dust.
Yeah.
Okay.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson. Dive into family tales, explore the human mind, and laugh with guests like Joel and Benji Madden. It's more than a podcast, it's a celebration of the ties that bind us.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Frances Fry.
And I'm Ann Morris.
And we are the hosts of a new TED podcast called Fixable.
We've helped leaders at some of the world's most competitive companies solve all kinds of problems.
On our show, we'll pull back the curtain and give you the type of honest, unfiltered advice we usually reserve for top executives. Give us a call and we'll help you solve the problems you're stuck on. Listen to Fixable on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.